Hey guys, this is Mathilde Kopnick, and it's kind of nice that we've had our videos and we could chat before this so we kind of know what each other look like. But I also am glad that I don't have to be on the screen and I get to share my presentation with you about calcium today. I don't have very many pictures, but I thought this was a good picture because I am a huge yogurt and cheese fan and I'm learning to love milk more. I love ice cream, and they wouldn't include that, of course, because it's not healthy, but I'm excited to talk about calcium today. So, why calcium? Who knew that calcium is the fifth most abundant element in the Earth's crust? It's the fifth most abundant dissolved ion in seawater, and it's the fifth most abundant element in the human body. But it's the first most abundant metallic element in our bodies because we have 2 to 3 pounds of calcium stored in our bones and teeth. 2 to 3 pounds. Just think about that. So, the RDA for calcium is 1,300 milligrams a day for adolescents, and that's the highest you'll ever see. And then there's 1,000 milligrams for the rest, like the normal population, I guess 19 to 70-year-old males and 19 to 50-year-old females, and that's 1,000 milligrams a day. So that's pretty standard for where we're all at right now. And then when women are over 50, it's 1,200 milligrams a day. The upper limit is 25 milligrams a day for adult males and females up to age 50. And then after age 50, it's 2,000 milligrams a day. The most crucial times for peak calcium intake is when we're in our adolescence, especially females 9 to 18 years old. Males 9 to 13 is also crucial, but those females 9 to 18, only 15% of those girls reach the 1,300 milligrams a day. So they're not getting a good store of calcium in those bones and teeth. So what is calcium? The description of calcium is really simple. It's a mineral needed to build strong bones and teeth. Major functions of calcium. The calcium is used 99% for normal bone growth and maintenance and tooth development. I don't know of any other minerals that are used for 99% of something. But that bone development and maintenance is a process that is, it's called bone remodeling throughout our adulthood. And you've got the osteoblasts building new bone, osteoclasts breaking down and resorbing bone, and then osteocytes are the bone cells that are forming from the osteoblasts. So it's all just this process, and it builds our compact and our spongy bones and builds the strong skeleton that we need to support our body. And then you've got different components of bone. There's collagen in there that helps to absorb impact, helps the skeleton to absorb that impact so our bones don't just shatter. And then minerals, other different minerals, specifically you've got phosphorus and calcium and magnesium and different things that combine to give bones their strength and allow us to bend and collapse and those different movements that we're so grateful for. And then there's another 1% that comes into play, and it seems like such a small amount, but we'll get into that a little later, and I'll tell you why that other 1% is crucial. So then food sources of calcium. Kale is not my favorite, but it is a good source. I do love Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, Chinese cabbage, milk, cheese, and yogurt. I already said I love all those. Milk, I'm learning a little more. Fortified cereals, orange juice is often fortified, soy and rice drinks. And then for anyone who likes tofu, I do, calcium carbonate, when it's added to it, it makes it a good source of calcium. Then you've got almonds, sesame seeds, pinto white, and kidney beans. Those are a little less bioavailable, but they are good sources, especially if you've got someone who's not eating meat and is a vegetarian or a vegan. If you're not a vegetarian or a vegan, fish with soft bones, canned sardines. I don't know how many people love those, but I don't. But then you have salmon as well, which is a good source of calcium, and I do love salmon. Spinach and rhubarb are 5% or less bioavailable to the body because the calcium is bonded to that oxalic acid, so it makes it poorly absorbed. Breads, pastas, and unfortified cereals here in America can sometimes be a good source because we eat large amounts of them. So we'll go on to deficiencies. What happens when you have a deficiency of calcium? It's called hypocalcemia, which is a low amount of calcium in the blood. And this occurs because inadequate parathyroid hormone is released, or action that causes nerve impulses to happen spontaneously. So this causes tetany, or like a cramp, essentially, a continuous forceful muscle contraction without relaxation. So then you can have numbness and tingling in your fingers, convulsions if it's severe enough from a deficiency of calcium, or abnormal heart rhythms. Osteopenia is the step before osteoporosis, and it means a low bone mass, and it eventually leads to osteoporosis. If you're on the road to osteopenia, you're on the road to osteoporosis. And osteoporosis is when our body starts withdrawing calcium from our bones, and it's happens over a space of years, and we may not even know it's happening, and then our bones just become less and less spongy. And it's finally diagnosed when there's so much bone loss that strength is starting to decline because our skeleton is so weak and the bones are so fragile that they're likely to break, or maybe they have broken. And so that's why you were able to find someone was able to find the osteoporosis. The most common fractures from osteoporosis are in the hips, the wrists, and the vertebrae in the spine. And the hips are crucial because 20% of people who break their hip will die, usually within about a year of breaking it. And then when the vertebrae compress, when they're weak, you lose height, and then you can get that upper spine curvature, or that hump, or that dowager's hump, or it's called kyphosis. Toxicity, or too much calcium, is hypercalcemia. You develop kidney stones, which, no thank you. I do not want kidney stones. I've never had them. Maybe you have, and I'm sorry. But then this happens because the small intestine is not preventing the absorption of high calcium intakes like it normally does. So there's so much that the small intestine is not able to do that job of its. And then you have symptoms such as irritability, headaches, and you can have kidney failure, usually if you're already someone who has kidney issues. And then you've got the possibility of decreasing absorption of other minerals when you've got too much calcium, especially iron, zinc, and magnesium. And usually toxicity is caused not by food intake, but excessive supplemental intake. So be aware of that. So going back to that 1% of calcium's function, and then it comes down to its functions in the metabolism. And it's got 4 main jobs. You've got blood clotting. Calcium ions are involved in several reactions that help lead to the formation of fibrin, and that is the main component of a blood clot. Then you have transmission of nerve impulses to target cells. Calcium is required for neurotransmitters to be released, which is vital for normal functioning of the nervous system. Muscle contraction. For our muscles to contract and relax, there has to be calcium released from intracellular stores in the muscles, and then that works with ATP to allow for them to slide and contract and the subsequent relaxation after that. And then cell metabolism. So we learned a little bit about calmodulin, the calmodulin system, and that's where one calmodulin binds to 4 calciums that are within the intracellular area, and it activates the calmodulin. So then this activation helps with the activity of intracellular enzymes. And 2 of those specific enzymes that this helps with are the contraction of smooth muscle, and then the initiation of the breakdown of glycogen. For me, the most interesting thing, there were 2 that I picked out. The parathyroid and the thyroid hormone kind of go together. And the parathyroid hormone, it specifically helps regulate blood calcium levels, whether it's high or low. And then the thyroid gland secretes the hormone calcitonin, which helps blocks calcium loss from the bones, which is essential. But for me, this was the top one. I did not know that bone is constantly in a cycle of building, breaking down, and reshaping to help fix weak and damaged areas. Most of the adult skeleton is replaced every 10 years. How crazy is that? How many of you knew that? I did not know that. So that to me was one of the most interesting things. The highlights from literature and media, I chose two. One specific one that I mentioned in the book, and then I researched a little more, is that they believe that calcium intake, specifically from dairy products and other sources, but specifically dairy products, can help protect against the development of colorectal cancer. Specifically, they think in the distal region of the colon, but there is more research now kind of pointing at the proximal region has a decreased risk, and then the rectum as well. Rectal cancers are decreased with calcium intake. And then there's been debate over the years, and this is something I talked about when we had our group discussion and I talked about calcium, is the book points out that they think it causes too much calcium can cause coronary calcification or hardening of those arteries in the coronary arteries in the heart. But after a lot of research, I found a study too from the University of California, Berkeley, that said if you're taking almost all of your calcium from supplements, then you do have an elevated risk of atherosclerosis or plaque built up in the arteries, leading to hardening of the arteries, and then specifically in the coronary arteries. But most people have a balance and maintain a balance with their food intake of calcium and their supplemental sources, and there is no risk involved with that. The take-home message for me, what I learned, is how I want to have meals with the most highly bioavailable calcium levels as my little girl grows up, and especially in those adolescent 9 to 18 years old, that she has a good storage of calcium to promote healthy bones throughout her life, because calcium absorption does decline with age, so timing is crucial. Also, that bones contain 99% of the body's calcium. I knew that bones were calcium, but I did not know that 99% of the body had that bones contain that much. Calcium isn't just for our bones and teeth, though. We need it for all of our cells. And be aware of supplements. Don't just jump to a calcium supplement because you think you're not getting enough calcium. Maybe take the time to be aware of how much you're getting in your diet, because supplements, not dietary sources, but supplements themselves, can decrease absorption of zinc, iron, and magnesium. But magnesium also has a role in improving calcium utilization and the hormones that regulate calcium. So that balance is crucial, once again, how it always seems to be. And my conclusion aha moments are: get your calcium from food first and be aware of the bioavailability of those foods, and then supplement later. That would be my biggest takeaway from this whole thing. If you're going to supplement, I'm going to add a little bit about that. There was this great portion in the book that talked about testing the dissolvability of your supplement, your calcium supplement, and it said to put it in 6 ounces of vinegar for 30 minutes and stir every 5 minutes. And if it dissolves before or at that 30 minutes, it's a good supplement and it will work well in your body. Also, 25% of calcium supplements contain lead. So do your research before you just start taking one. You think, I'm supplementing, so it's good. That's not always the case. If you are using supplements of calcium, take them with vitamin D to boost absorption. Take no more than 500 milligrams at a time. So if you want to take more than that, maybe split it between meals. And take it with your meal or right after, because the stomach acid helps to boost absorption, and that stomach acid is greatest when you're eating and digesting. And there's my references. I hope that you take calcium as a serious mineral, whether you're still in that range. I don't know how many of us are 18, but even at 19 to 30 and above, we can still keep supplementing and try and keep our body at the highest level as we can to help prevent osteoporosis in the future and other different deficiencies that can come with hypocalcemia. Thanks for listening and have a great day.